Welcome back. You're watching HFO-TV. HFO-TV is co-sponsored by the construction, repair, and restoration firm J.R. Johnson, the real estate law firm Baljanik LLP, the tax deferral accommodator Beutler Exchange Group, the mortgage banking firm Gantry Incorporated, and forensic building consultants providing building structural science services.
Welcome back to HFO-TV. I'm Greg Frick, partner at HFO Investment Real Estate. And today we have with us Toija Beutler again, coming back to give us a quick update on 1031s, capital gains. We're recording this end of October. I know we had you in here about 2 months ago, kind of talking about what may or may not happen in terms of the Biden tax plan and 1031s. You know, we've all heard the stories that are they going to go away? Are there going to be limits? So curious to get, thank you for taking the time to come in and give us a quick update, because I know it's a very busy time, as we've all seen. So kind of what are you hearing on the street regarding 1031s, and what are we going to look like in 22?
Yeah. So the good news is we're status quo.
Okay.
For now.
Okay.
So we've continued our lobbying activity in Congress with the House and the Senate, continuing to hold lobbying meetings. I've got 2 more scheduled coming up. But we have managed so far to keep 1031 out of any legislation in the House and in the Senate.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
So you feel better today than you did 4 or 5 months ago.
Right. We're 2 more months down or 3 more months down the road
Right.
and continuing to be successful.
Okay.
We're talking to the Democrats in the House and the Senate, the Democrats close to Biden, and every last one of them understands why 1031 is good for the American real estate economy, good for the American economy,
Right.
frankly, not just
Right.
real estate, but overall. So although Biden has a proposal in his budget to cap 1031 at $500,000 of gain a year, the Democrats understand, and the smaller transactions would continue to go along, but they understand how detrimental that cap would be for our commercial activity. In fact, we have studies that show, and I think Biden's budget suggests that it will raise about $1.9 billion if it were capped. 1031 is capped.
So keeping a cap on 1031s. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
They generate income of $1.9 billion. In a $3.5 trillion budget proposal, as it's been described to us, $1.9 billion is budget dust. So it really just doesn't advance the cause. And we can show that 1031 activity supports 638,000 jobs a year. And this really comes mostly in the trades, where our developers and our commercial folks are fixing a property up to sell. Those are jobs. And then they acquire replacement property that needs work as well.
Same.
Jobs.
Right.
Mostly in the trades. So to take in a 1.9 billion in income at the cost of 638 million jobs, 638,000, is not a very good
And
economic.
do they recognize if you have some kind of cap, or what ends up limiting transactions in certain states, now your tax revenue in terms of reassessment, you're going to have less sales? I mean, has that been well received? Do they?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we've been able to show too the loss to the state and the local governments in tax revenue if those transactions were to cease to take place. At the local and state level, they too would lose income.
Got it.
Yeah, and the commercial and ag properties are always with gains in excess of 500,000.
Right.
So, and it doesn't really matter in all states across the country. Those large commercial transactions have gains in excess of $500,000. Of course, the coasts, the West Coast, the East Coast, had the greater gains, but even in the flyover states, those large commercial transactions are very dependent on 1031 remaining in place.
And so you're, based on the lobbying, you're feeling you're getting more people, kind of looking at it that way, but there's still the concern that something may get thrown in, or some cap will get in, or some negotiation, or
Right. You never know what's going to happen in the middle of the night, in some committee. So we continue our activity, and about every other week we have another Zoom lobbying call. And frankly, it's been wonderful for us because historically, our industry, we would go to Congress and we'd walk the halls and we'd meet with staffers. You never knew what then was translated up to the senator or the representative. And we are having these now as our fundraisers, and we're getting dedicated half hour to an hour of time with the congressman, the congresswoman ourselves. And so we're really having dialogue with them one-on-one as to why 1031 is useful. So they've been very, very successful.
And is for people in our audience, is there a way that they can get involved? Should they be reaching out to their, I guess maybe not so much the local representative, but we're looking at this is on the federal side. So your federal senator, your representative, in terms of letting them know kind of the negative effects of what this may happen?
Yeah, so there is a website they can go to for information, and there are letters there that they can complete and submit to their representative or their senator. And so the website is 1031buildsamerica.org.
Okay.
1031buildsamerica.org.
We'll put it. It's on the screen too.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, I mean, speaking of Build Back Better, our website is 1031buildsamerica.org, and that's where they'll find all kinds of information.
Gotcha. And so, what's the timing? Is it?
Oh.
I mean, is there? From a standpoint of, can it go up to the very end of the year? Is there some kind of period where your lobbyist is saying we've got to, we're at the 10-yard line? How much more time do we have to push this?
Well, our lobbyist said July, and then our lobbyist said August, and now they're saying December, and it could very well go over to next year. Now we feel like there's really no end time. It could drag into next year with the way Congress is struggling to come to agreement on anything. So we don't know. So we continue our lobbying activity.
And is the pressure still, did it just kind of get thrown in there, or is there still a group that's adamant about, capping it or getting rid of 1031s, or was it just kind of, like I said, thrown in with a bunch of other stuff and now people try to pull it out? What's kind of your sense?
Right. Our sense is there's no real consortium that's looking to get rid of 1031. Obama had $1 million cap in his budget that never went anywhere.
Right.
And so to some degree, I think Biden's $500,000 cap was a holdover from that. And there are progressives that are looking at, the folks with wealth and why they're not being taxed.
Right.
But we are not hearing voices from that contingent relative to 1031, not at this point. So no, it's just, I think, a holdover at this point. It just got in the budget and it's sitting there. And 1031, folks aren't paying tax, not right now. Of course, 1031 is a deferral only. It's not like they won't ever pay tax. And so once it gets in there as a pay-for any sort of tax measures, once it gets in there, it stays on the list of pay-fors, even though it's a poor pay-for, and, $1.9 billion.
Now, do you guys also kind of lobby on the capital gains thing, too? Is that part of it, or do you, from a 1031, just kind of focus on that right now, or do you get involved in kind of some of the other things that may affect, from stepped-up basis to...
Right. We're only lobbying on 1031, but we're certainly watching the capital gain rate.
Okay.
Now, again, not that it matters to our clients what the capital gain rate is. If doing an exchange, they're not paying that tax, not now. But we are watching it. And so, again, Biden's proposal was to put it at ordinary income tax for folks above a certain income level, like up in the 39% or whatever.
Right.
What came out in September, which you may have seen, we have a tiered system for capital gains federal, 0 for the first few dollars, 15, and then 20 at the top end.
Right.
The proposal in September was to have a 25% rate at the top end. Now, our lobbyist has said they really think it's going to end up at 27 or 28.
Okay.
So we were thrilled to see only a 25% proposed capital gain rate, but we have a hunch that's not going to hold at 25, but into the high 20s, which is where it was when I started in the business many years ago. So we're confident that's going to go up, but we haven't really heard any particular new information on that.
But again, you guys have got to be singular focused on the 1031. A, keep it in place, then B, no cap. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I will say this. In previous years, our industry has been the lone voice on 1031. This time around, we've gotten wonderful support from CCIM and National Association of Realtors and the Mortgage Bankers Association and the title industry. So we now really have a real estate roundtable, and they're all in unison that 1031 needs to remain unchanged. Good. So we've got a great lobby to keep 1031 as is.
But again, if people want to get involved, they go to the website that's on the screen. It is vitally important, as we say in our industry. And I think a lot of people don't understand, if you don't have transactions, you're not having reassessment on property taxes. Mm-hmm. So from a state and local level, you're going to have income, income's going to go down. So again, I think a lot of times the unintended consequences end up costing more than the perceived benefit of the income that they think they may end up getting back.
Right, and the loss of jobs. We really can't show that, the loss of jobs.
Right.
So.
Right. Well, thank you for taking the quick time to come and kind of give us an update. I'm sure we'll be doing this again real soon. It seems the lobbying session keeps getting longer and longer and
January,
longer.
February, when will it be?
Right. Well, this may be something we may be doing progressively all the time. So, again, thank you again.
My pleasure.
And we'll see you again on HFO-TV. Thank you.
Our entire office specializes in multifamily real estate, making HFO the largest multifamily brokerage in the Pacific Northwest. Your success is our passion. Build your legacy with HFO. Call 503-241-5541 or visit our website at hfore.com for more information.